Welcome back. My name is Dana. I did a booktube newbie tag earlier today, and I just can't stand my hair down. It gets in the way too much. Anyway. So we'll see how my first TBR video goes. Thanks for hanging out with me again and talking about books. I don't know if I'll be able to get to all of these books within the month of April, but I'm gonna try. So, the first book on my list, I have already started. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. It is a grimdark, and it follows the perspective of multiple people. I don't know a lot about it yet. All I know is that I have heard all good things about it. It is brutal. There are morally gray characters, which I love. Yeah, not a lot to say about this, except that I've had a hard time reading it. Not necessarily a hard time. I just finished Rage of Dragons earlier this week, and I'm still kind of on a book hangover. Like, I start reading another book, and I just can't get my head out of the other book, which is where the next books on my TBR come in. The other reason I have had trouble focusing on this book, because there is a character in a show that my boyfriend are watching named Logan. The show that I'm watching on my own without my boyfriend, there's a character in here similar to Glocta, who is a cripple and uses a cane and, like, shifts around, like, drags his other leg around. The guy in the show is not morally gray and doesn't torture people, but, you know, just physical similarities. And so my mind kind of goes in this rabbit hole where I just, like, start thinking about all this stuff, and I don't get a lot of reading done. So, the other thing, I might sit this down for a few days and pick up a cozy, for lack of a better term. They are my palette cleanser. And I did not do that between Wheel of Time, The Rage of Dragons, and then I picked up a grimdark. So, I think I need a palette cleanser. Let me know in the comments if you have to do that too. I just can't get my head out of it, so I'm gonna read the next book in a series. I have the first books with me, so I'm going to show those books instead of the second books, just because I have them. I really want to continue in my cozy series by Lovett. It is Firefly Junction. It's a series. I have read, this is the first book, and I liked the first book, and I want to read the second. I may or may not get to it. We'll see. I'm probably going to read the fifth book in the Port Danby series. This is the first 3 books all combined. The cozies are super, super short, as you can tell. Really simple, really down to earth, which is what I kind of need after all that I just read the past couple weeks. But it's a super short read. I can read it in like a day, maybe a day and a half or 2. And just kind of get my head out of all of the epic fantasy-ness and get down to, like, normal Earth stuff. Alright, Dana from the future, and also my dog, who likes to sleep on the back of the couch and, like, push the couch cushions down. I decided to pick up the next book in the Port Danby series by Lovett. It is called Tulips Trouble. I'm trying to see. Yeah, here it is. And you can read it for free. Try not to get the glare on there. Read for free on the Kindle library right now. And it's also pretty cheap if you end up buying it for $3.99. So
That's what I'm going to read next. Sherlock. Hey, Sherlock, look here. Hi. This is my puppy. You may have, if you watched my first booktube video, you saw my friend's birthday present to me, which was a caricature of my dog. This is what it looks like. He's super scruffy. Yeah. See ya. Back to Past Santa.
The next book on my TBR, I may or may not pick up. I hope my book club doesn't hate me. I'll probably just end up downloading it on my Kindle because I'm not sure it's a book I'm going to like, and I'll probably DNF it. It's really not my cup of tea. The book that was voted on by a book club here locally, it's just with like some friends, is called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom. Albom. That sounds a lot like album, like a CD album. Anyway, it is a novel that follows the life and death of a man named Eddie who is killed and sent to heaven, where he encounters 5 people who had a significant impact on him when he was alive. It's a Christian novel, along those lines, and it's really not me. I don't really read Christian novels. I can see where old me that grew up in a very conservative home would probably enjoy this. So even this is the 3rd book so far in our book club, and I don't know. I feel like this book club is meant to expand your book horizons, get you to read something you wouldn't read normally. I might not read it. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if you think I should read it, or at least attempt and try to read it. There are just so many other things I want to read right now than that. Sorry to my book club members. It's just, The next book is The Great Hunt by Robert Jordan. This is the 2nd book in the Wheel of Time series. Hopefully, if you love fantasy, you have heard of it, because it's amazing, and it's like the second to Lord of the Rings, I think, is Wheel of Time. If you have read epic fantasy, I bet you have heard of it. Next on my list, I'm kind of hesitant about this book because the reviews say the 2nd book wasn't as good as the 1st book. It is a YA fantasy. It is called Chosen by Kiersten White. This, I am a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan. Love Buffy. My friend got me a Buffy bookmark for my birthday. That was really cool. It's in my booktube birthday video. It's Mr. Pointy. It's super cool. I'm going to be using it when I read this. So this is going to be spoilers for the 1st book. So the 1st book was called Slayer. And it was, as I said, based in the Buffy universe. It follows a character named Nina who, her family was in the Watchers Council. They managed to escape when stuff went down in the show. Don't want to spoil too much if you haven't seen the show. And there are comic books as well, and the comics kind of spoil a little. The book kind of spoils the comics a little bit, because what happens in the book is because of something that happened in the comics. So, spoiler warning for this book, Slayer. Basically, magic has ended, and Nina was the last Slayer. She was the last Slayer made. That kind of spoils lots of spoilers. So at the end of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, anyone who is a potential Slayer got made into a Slayer. Like got full Slayer status. This happened to Nina, but magic ended right after that, so no more potential Slayers are being made. Lots of stuff happens in the first book. I loved the first book in the sense of nostalgia for Buffy. It made me want to rewatch the show, even though I've already watched it once last year, and I wanted to watch it again the same year. I like Nina, but at the same time I don't. She is very whiny and complainy. She doesn't like Buffy. She doesn't like Slayers. But she's also a teenage girl, so you kind of expect them to be whiny. And I'm hoping that for this second book, that she kind of grows up a little bit and comes into her own instead of focusing on petty things that don't matter. Classic teenager, I'm so torn. She hates Buffy for all the hard decisions she had to make. And then as the book goes on, realizes that those decisions aren't easy. They haven't been easy for her to make. And she doesn't take it lightly. So I hope the second book is good. And last but not least, I may or may not get to this book because, I've got some big guys to read this month. It may cross over into May, which is when I'll read the next 2 books in this series, but I do want to do a reread of The Hunger Games and do a book versus movie comparison. I want to do a comparison with the other 2 books as well, leading up to the prequel release. Alright, so this is my TBR for April. 3 of the books are going to be on my Kindle. And then the rest are these guys. We'll see how far I get. Hunger Games might be May. It might cross over to May. So yeah, we'll see how much reading I get done. Anyway, thank you for tuning in yet again. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Any books that you have read. I really expect a lot of you to have read this book. If you love fantasy. Just saying. Let me know how you liked The Great Hunt, The Wheel of Time. No spoilers. Alright, so hopefully I will see you at the end of the month with my April wrap-up, my first wrap-up ever, and see how far I got with these books. See you next time.